De los posibles escenarios para 2023, ¿habrá una recesión? ¿Cómo se van a comportar los mercados? Y para hablar de esto, contamos hoy con Martin Moryson, economista jefe para Europa de DWS. Welcome and thank you, Martin, for being with us. I wanted to ask you, what do you expect about the next central bank moves to address inflation and the pace of rate hikes?
Inflation has become far too high by any standards in the US, but also here in Europe. And therefore, central banks must act. In the US, they learned this a little earlier than here in Europe, but the ECB now is also as determined as the Federal Reserve Bank to fight inflation. Therefore, I would expect that they rise interest rates tomorrow by 75 basis points, as will do the Fed next week.
Okay, what is your forecast, your outlook for 2023? Do you see a deep recession? How do you expect the markets to behave?
We are expecting a recession, everybody does actually, but we do not foresee a very deep recession. Look, when other people put up their forecast, and they were very terrific, very bad, very horrible forecasts during the summer. That was when people thought that Europe would not do it, could not do the winter, could not get through the winter without Russian gas. But look at the situation now. The storages are filled. The Russian gas imports are replaced by other imports. Imports are roughly the same level than in previous years, even without Russian gas, or with far less Russian gas, I have to say. There's still some Russian gas coming through Turk Stream and via Ukraine, interestingly. But still, so we as Europeans were able to replace this gas with gas from all over the world, namely LNG. And the last question then is, can we do with less gas, because we have less gas than before? And we, for instance, in Germany, it turned out that during July, August, September, industry was using 20% less gas, but industrial production output was only down by 2% compared to the previous 3 years. So that gives us a lot of confidence that yes, we will make it through the winter. Yes, certainly it will be hard, it will be a difficult winter, but it will be a sort of a shallow, a mild recession. We will go not as deep as during the COVID crisis, for instance.
So do you see like a soft landing?
Well, it's not well, I don't like this picture of landing actually very much, because when a plane lands, it stands there and then full stop. What happens next? So I would say what we will see is sort of like one of these birds that catch fish. So we will go underwater, but only very, very short period of time. And then by spring next year, people will look with more confidence into the future. Because also currently people are scared of the very high prices in the energy market, but the market prices are coming down already again, and with that, until people really see that and realize it, that will take some time. So then we probably are talking about spring next year. But then also a lot of rescue packages are kicking in, like in Germany, for instance. We have something like almost 8% of GDP that the German government wants to spend on subsidies for the people, for the companies, for the industry, but also for the bakeries, the small enterprises, and so on and so forth. But 8% of GDP, that's really a lot. And with that, when this money arrives at the pockets of the people, then mood will turn, or sentiment will turn better again.
So how do you see the evolution of consumption, as it represents a big part of the GDP?
Yeah, this is a very interesting point. Many people were afraid that consumers would go on strike. They would stop consuming because they have to save huge amounts of money in order to pay their energy bills. But it's not the case. There's a lot of things that governments are doing to keep energy prices low. Here you have this subsidies for the gas in the power generation industry. In Germany, we are talking about a gas price cap and a power price cap. So that will bring this down. Next thing is, we have very high wage increases, and together with the subsidies from the government, we foresee that the disposable income for the people will not come down that much. So disposable income as such certainly will rise, but the real disposable income, so after deducting inflation, will shrink, but only a little. And then you have to keep in mind that the people still have a lot of excess savings from the COVID pandemic, because people were still getting money and couldn't spend it. So this money is still there. Germans spend lots of this money in their summer holidays in Spain, but still there's a lot of money left which can be spent in the forthcoming months. And with that, we are not afraid of a too deep recession, and consumers should be able to keep up.
And regarding the big concern, the energy crisis, do you think that Europe will manage to avoid the most negative impact of this crisis?
Yes, I think so. I mean, certainly there are always things that can happen if we get sort of a Siberian winter, a very, very cold winter. Then things would look different, because then there would be a lot of more gas consumption in Europe. You have to keep in mind that, for instance, in Germany, 50% of the households are heating with gas, with natural gas. So that could drive up prices again. But currently, prices are coming down. I mean, they were so high during summer because all Europeans were competing with each other who fills its storages first. And that drove up prices. But this competition sort of is over now. They are thinking in the European Union to bundle, to go on a joint shopping tour, and that should bring down prices. And currently prices are very low. I just read in the paper that in the US they are also already talking about negative natural gas prices because they have difficulties to get the gas away. So with that, I would expect the gas, the amount of gas, it's there. You can reduce consumption of gas without sending the economy into a recession. And the gas price problem that that weighs on the consumer is not going to be as bad as many people anticipated during summer.
Okay, and the last question, which investment opportunities do you see in this period of market turmoil?
First of all, I would say a well-diversified portfolio is more than ever a good thing to have. First of all, fixed income like bonds. I mean, there was really no particular reason to hold them in the past because they were virtually not paying any income. So if to make it a gist out of it, you could say fixed income now with income. Yeah, in previous times you had no income from fixed income. Now you have income from fixed income. And this is something that you could add now to your portfolio because it stabilizes it. I know bonds performance was very poor in the past because yields were going up, but sort of the losses that you made in the bond market in the past is sort of the premium that you have to pay to get now higher yields. So with that, I would say with a well-diversified portfolio, not only Europe, but also the rest of the world, not only equity, but also bonds. Think of, for instance, some emerging markets. Many markets have come down to such an extent that they are good investments. Again, at least in a very long-term perspective. Certainly the uncertainties short-term are high, volatility will probably stay high, but in the long run, with a well-diversified portfolio, you should get some real returns on it.
Okay, Martin, thank you very much for being with us and sharing your knowledge and expertise with us here in Negocios Televisión. Y a todos los que nos veis desde casa, hacemos una brevísima pausa en publicidad y volvemos enseguida.